Hey guys, tonight we wander into a world that's quieter than the one you know, yet curiously alive in its own rhythm. You trudge into a sleepy Victorian village just as twilight drapes over narrow cobblestone streets. Gas lamps flicker in the evening breeze, casting soft halos on shop windows and the occasional passing carriage. You probably won't survive this without noticing how the gentle cadence of daily life shaped the simplest of habits, like the afternoon nap. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your location and local time in the comments. I'm genuinely curious where in the world we're nudging sleepy brains together. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The streets are alive with a quiet hum. Horse hooves clip-clop against uneven cobblestones, a blacksmith's hammer taps rhythmically in the distance, and children's laughter echoes faintly from a narrow alleyway. You can almost sense the invisible clock governing the town. Work, errands, a bit of gossip, and somewhere in the middle, that sacred pause. It's easy to forget, as a modern wanderer, that such structured chaos demanded moments of rest, and the idea of the mid-afternoon nap wasn't mere laziness, it was almost a societal necessity. Even the simplest houses, modest brick cottages with thin, louvered windows, are set up to catch a shifting light just right, bathing parlors in warmth during the quietest hours of the day. As you step closer to a bustling market, vendors shout over clanging bells, offering fresh bread, ribbons, and the occasional exotic fruit imported from far-off colonies. The market smelled of baked goods, wood smoke, and faint horse sweat, a scent combination that is somehow comforting, even as it heightens your awareness that life is always moving somewhere. Housewives balance baskets with practiced ease, negotiating the right amount of sugar or a pinch of dried herbs. You notice their hands move almost robotically, folding linens, stirring stews, and arranging teacups, yet there's a subtle rhythm in the motions. Historians still argue whether this daily repetition was purely functional or an early exercise in self-care disguised as work. Peering into one of these homes, you spot the quiet corners they've carved out. Armchairs angled just so, faintly scented pillows, or a low window seat where sunlight falls perfectly on a reading shawl. Fringe accounts suggest some women even had hidden cushions tucked under tables, secret spots meant for a brief doze, though skeptics claim these are just anecdotal exaggerations. You might smirk, imagining a Victorian lady sneaking in 30 minutes with a cup of tea still in hand, but the rhythm of the day almost insists on it. Work, socialize, sip, and sleep. Each movement choreographed by necessity and habit. A gentle reminder that even in strict societal confines, small pockets of rest were possible. By now, your senses are attuned to the village's subtleties, the soft shuffle of slippers, the distant bark of a dog announcing someone's return, the faint whistle of a wind rustling laundry lines. These sounds, almost imperceptible, are the cues for a gentle pause. You start noticing how in homes and streets alike, the environment itself seems to lull inhabitants toward the idea of repose. Afternoon light, sweet aromas, rhythmic sounds all conspire to create a brief restorative pause. And as you observe a housewife slowly lowering herself into an armchair, you can't help but admire the delicate balance between duty and indulgence, a dance perfected over decades. Even the town's design whispers encouragement. Narrow alleys force slower foot traffic. Benches appear strategically under window awnings, not just for convenience, but for subtle moments of observation, reflection, and, yes, the nap. You might chuckle, thinking how in modern life, a city that forces rest would be illegal under labor law. But here, centuries ago, the architecture itself conspired to help people pause. Historians still argue whether these design choices were intentional or simply an emergent byproduct of practicality, but the effect is the same. The mid-afternoon nap became an almost inescapable rhythm, weaving itself into everyday life like the gentle ticking of a long-forgotten clock. By the time the gas lamps burn brighter and the market begins to quiet, you're no longer just a visitor. You're immersed in the village's pulse, feeling the tug toward that afternoon lull. Even as you stroll past a baker's window displaying golden loaves, you notice the subtle cues. A soft sigh from a child, a mother's eyelid fluttering, a servant pausing mid-sweep. Everything signals, without ever speaking, that a moment of rest is not only welcome, but perhaps necessary. And in that realization, you catch the first true glimpse of how Victorian life, in all its structured chaos, silently elevated the art of napping into a ritual worth observing, remembering, and maybe even emulating yourself. You step inside one of those modest homes and immediately feel the contrast. Outside, the streets buzzed with merchants, clattering carts, and the occasional braying mule. But here, it's quieter, warmer, and scented with the faint sweetness of brewed tea and polished wood. The parlor is arranged with precision. Armchairs angled just so, a small writing desk in the corner, and a hearth crackling gently, sending soft warmth into every corner. Housewives move with a practiced calm, stirring stews, folding linens, and setting out delicate china cups. You probably won't survive observing all this without realizing that every motion, every arrangement is part of a carefully choreographed ritual that nudges the household toward rest. So before you sink too deeply into that inviting armchair, take a moment to appreciate the small details. A teapot's gentle whistle, a candle flickering on its brass holder, and the quiet shuffle of slippers across polished floors. These subtle cues are the prelude to something almost sacred, the afternoon pause that defined Victorian domestic life. You catch a whiff of freshly baked crumpets as one housewife sets them beside a steaming teapot. The scent is almost magical, deliberately arranged, teasing both senses and mind. Afternoon tea, historians still argue, was more than a culinary pleasure. It served as a gentle psychological lull, coaxing body and mind into a state of temporary repose. You can almost feel your own eyelids growing heavier, as if the warmth and scent have a hypnotic rhythm, a soft invitation to pause. Fringe accounts suggest some women strategically nibbled sweets or sipped slowly just to delay work, deliberately extending the pre-nap ritual, though skeptics claim these anecdotes are overly romanticized. Regardless, the effect is clear. A brief indulgence prepares the household for that coveted moment of rest. In a corner, you notice the faint outline of what could only be described as secret nap corners. Cushions tucked under tables, low window seats just wide enough for reclining, and sometimes even cleverly hidden folding screens create private nooks. Historians still argue whether these hidden spots were designed out of sheer necessity, escaping the constant hum of domestic duty, or if they were fashionable indulgences reflecting the household status. You can't help but smile at the thought, a lady, meticulously arranged in her petticoats, reclining gracefully behind a screen with a teacup balanced within reach, blending duty, leisure, and a touch of secrecy. There's a gentle choreography in the household rhythm. A child might tiptoe past, a cat curls lazily on the hearth, and the teapot hisses softly as water reaches boiling point. Each motion contributes to the ambiance, guiding every occupant toward a sense of calm.
You notice the subtle tension between work and rest. The folded laundry on the table, the polished silver, the freshly swept floors, all evidence of duty completed, yet paused, inviting a breath, a nod to comfort. Even the servants' movements are synchronized with this rhythm, moving quietly, respecting the invisible signal that a pause is sanctioned. You glance at a small stack of folded linens and realize that even mundane tasks carried hidden cues for pause. Folding cloths became almost meditative, a tactile prelude to rest. Some women reportedly rubbed lavender sachets between their fingers to ease tension, while others simply let their gaze linger on sunlit curtains. Fringe historical tidbits hint that some households used miniature bells to signal the start and end of the nap, a blend of superstition, practicality, and experimentation. And as you notice a slight yawn spreading across a mother's face, you can't help but feel the pull yourself. The house has achieved its unspoken goal. The rhythm isn't just internal, it spills outside too. Windows left open let in the muffled chatter of neighbors, the soft tapping of a distant hammer, and the occasional bray of a mule, creating a gentle, patterned backdrop that encourages eyes to close briefly, minds to wander, and bodies to settle. Historians still debate whether these domestic pauses genuinely improved productivity or were simply disguised leisure. But you can see the wisdom in crafting these moments regardless of intent. The environment itself conspires to allow, even demand, a tiny suspension of time, a few moments to breathe, reflect, or simply nap. By mid-afternoon, the combination of scent, light, ritual, and hidden spaces culminates in a nearly hypnotic tranquility. You notice the contrast with the earlier market chaos. The clamor of commerce is faded to a faint echo, replaced by the delicate orchestration of domestic life. Every corner of the home participates. The heat from the hearth, the hush of whispered conversation, the weight of a well-folded blanket. It's almost a choreography of comfort, perfectly timed for the ultimate Victorian indulgence, the pause that restores both energy and spirit.
Housewives converse over teacups, sharing tidbits of literature, recipes, or quietly discuss local events, all while the broader world hums along at a slightly gentler pace. You notice that these interactions aren't frivolous. They're vital threads in the social fabric, facilitating small freedoms and autonomy within a structure that often limited them. Scholars still argue whether these routines reinforced strict gender roles or subtly provided women microcosms of control, little zones where their choices mattered. Fringe accounts suggest clever adaptations throughout households and neighborhoods. Folding screens were used to create instant private nooks on porches, while miniature reclining chairs popped up in parlors, offering subtle comfort to anyone needing a moment's pause. Even small architectural choices, window placement, benches under eaves, hint at an unspoken agreement that life should accommodate rest. You can almost see the invisible choreography. A neighbor tilts a chair just right, a cat curls beside a sleeping child, and all around the environment conspires to whisper, pause, breathe, and enjoy this fleeting respite. The interplay of social, cultural, and domestic cues create a tapestry of gentle encouragement toward relaxation. You can see how rhythm, habit, and community subtly converge, producing what feels like a collective understanding. The afternoon nap isn't indulgent. It's essential, ritualized, and culturally embedded. It's fascinating to imagine the quiet debates in drawing rooms and parlors, scholars and gossipers alike musing whether these naps shaped character, productivity, or simply comfort. Yet despite the debates, the rhythm persists. You notice that by the time evening approaches, the community has seamlessly transitioned back into the bustling patterns of life, carrying forward the energy restored during these quiet interludes. You find yourself lingering near the riverside as the village day continues its slow, hypnotic rhythm. The water glints gold in the afternoon light, carrying laundry downstream and reflecting the gentle movement of boats and reeds. You probably won't survive noticing how the world seems simultaneously busy and serene. Children chasing ducks, women pausing to chat, and men returning from errands with parcels in hand. All these motions ripple in tandem with the invisible clock of the day, the mid-afternoon pause acting like a soft metronome guiding both domestic life and public rhythm. Small household inventions catch your eye as you wander past the homes. Folding screens, cleverly hinged chairs, and reclining settees hint at a deliberate effort to make the pause comfortable. Fringe historical accounts suggest some ladies even had portable footrests, small velvet cushions, or perfumed sachets to enhance the experience. Tools of leisure disguised as decor. You can almost picture a housewife reclining, a soft sigh escaping her lips, while a servant tiptoes nearby to fetch tea, balancing practicality with comfort. Historians still argue whether these domestic innovations had a lasting influence on interior design or were merely ephemeral curiosities, but the impact on daily life is undeniable. As you walk along the riverbank, reflections of sunlight dance on the rippling surface, and the air carries faint scents of soap, bread, and river reeds. Social interaction continues in gentle bursts. Neighbors exchange polite nods, a passing child waves, and distant laughter blends with the soft murmur of flowing water. It's a delicate orchestration, reminding you how culture, environment, and habit intertwine to create these moments of pause. Victorian life, you realize, was not only structured, but subtly designed to accommodate both duty and respite. Evening approaches, and you start to notice the shadows lengthening, stretching across the village in patterns that seem almost intentional. Historians still debate whether these rhythms genuinely shaped modern work-life balance or were simply fleeting practices of a pre-industrial society. But the echoes remain. You can sense the wisdom in embedding moments of calm into the daily routine, a reminder that human life benefits from rhythm, rest, and mindful pause. Observing this, you might feel your own shoulders release tension as if absorbing the village's quiet lesson. Finally, as the sun dips lower, you feel the gentle culmination of the day's hypnotic rhythm. The river continues its slow journey. Houses settle into soft shadows, and the village seems poised between activity and rest. Small inventions, thoughtful rituals, and deliberate rhythms all converge to produce a subtle magic. Life moves on, yet pauses gracefully, teaching that even amid structure, one can find moments of ease. You take a last deep breath of the cool riverside air, carrying with you the quiet revelation that Victorian housewives, through ingenuity and intuition, had perfected a delicate and restorative art, the mid-afternoon pause, a gentle reminder that slowing down can be both necessary and profoundly human. Now, let yourself sink into a slow, unhurried awareness. Picture the village streets softening in the fading light, gas lamps flickering gently, and the river carrying its reflections like a lullaby. There's no rush, no pressing errands, only the quiet pulse of daily life, moving in soft, predictable rhythms that invite your body and mind to relax. You might feel your eyelids growing heavier, your breath deepening as the gentle patterns of sound, scent, and sight lull you toward calm. Remember the small corners, the hidden cushions, the delicate choreography of household routines, and let them become symbols of rest in your own world. Each folded linen, each whisper of tea steam, each flicker of sunlight through lace curtains can act as a gentle reminder that slowing down is natural, restorative, and entirely permissible. Fringe details, the small bells, the lavender sachets, and the reclining chairs serve as tiny markers of care, nudging you to honor your own need for pause. Imagine the river's soft murmur, the faint laughter of children, the careful tilt of a lady's chair, all merging into a tapestry of calm. Let this imagery wash over you, softening the edges of your day, reminding you that even in a structured world there is always space for ease. The village has taught you that rest is not weakness, but an essential part of life's rhythm, and you carry that lesson forward gently, without hurry or obligation. As the world dims around you, inhale deeply, letting your mind drift across cobblestones, parlor chairs, and riverside reflections. The day slows, the heartbeat of life softens, and you find yourself floating in a moment of quiet contentment. Let the last images fade softly, leaving only tranquility, and drift gently into the night.